Hey guys, meteorologist Chris Tomer here with this On the Snow Before You Go forecast. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you get notified when my latest forecasts come out. All right, looking at this stretch ahead, I think we're finally going to break through across a lot of the West. A lot of late openings, delayed openings, but I think with 2 to 3 cold fronts coming, and you can see it on the spider chart, there's a lot of snow in the forecast and colder temperatures. I think that'll finally help a lot of resorts open. So higher on the web, more purple, better odds of accumulating snow over the next 7 days. So this will roughly take us through December 7th. High on the list, Colorado, Wyoming, eventually very high on the list. Utah, finally starting to generate some good snow up there. Things should really start to roll now as we get hit with these cold fronts. Montana looking good in this time period. So again, anywhere higher up on this web, the better off you're going to be. And eventually the Pacific Northwest, later in the period, will start to bring in a more consistent storm track with some bigger totals. But I mean, look at that. A lot of Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, and Montana. Here are my bullet points. So again, 2 or 3 different cold fronts. The first one continues into early 12/1. So it's likely that 12/1 will be a powder day for a lot of Utah, the Wasatch, and Colorado as the storm winds down and moves away. Second front, 12/2, 12/3, and then another one between 12/5 and 12/7, so right in there. Here are your best odds of accumulating snowfall for Colorado, Tahoe, Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, and interior BC. So for example, in Utah, moderate accumulations, 11/30 into early 12/1, so 12/1 will be good. Moderate to heavy 12/2, light 12/5, moderate to heavy somewhere around 12/6, 12/7, somewhere right in there. Colorado, heavy snow, moderate to heavy into early 12/1, and then light 12/2, moderate accumulations 12/3, 12/4, light to moderate 12/5, and 12/6. So a nice stretch in there. Here are the atmospheric pressure anomalies. So we're looking for storm systems here in fronts, and this is effective on 11/3. That should be 12/3. So 12/3. So you're looking at a storm system lower than normal pressures here, and there's our storm system between 12/2 and 12/3. That's another storm system right there. You can see it dropping down through Utah, and that'll affect a lot of the Four Corners, Colorado as well. All right, now we're looking at 12/5. So this is 12/5. And you've got potentially another storm system, lower than normal pressures here, with a front moving through. So that would have hit Wyoming, Montana, likely Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico. One more of these anomaly maps. This is for 12/10. So it's possible once we get through that storm system on 12/6, 12/7, that beyond that we may have higher than normal pressures built into the west. This is 12/10. And lower than normal pressures across a lot of the Midwest, the East Coast, and the Deep South. So there could be, with a big dip in the jet here, could be a definite split. So we'll enjoy it while we have it between the storm and lingering into early 12/1, another storm 12/2, 12/3, and another storm 12/5, 12/6, 12/7. Looking at total accumulation of precipitation over the next 7 days. So this, again, will run us all the way through the upcoming weekend into 12/7. I mean, you can see the dominant flow, dominant northwest flow. So whatever fronts are running along this flow will sweep down through. And notice how the Pacific Northwest, again, late in the period, begins to pick up heavy accumulation. All of these fronts will sweep down through a lot of the Intermountain West. I like to look for the yellow colors in this forecast in general on this map, because this is as if everything fell as rain. The yellow is a key break point at about an inch. That's about a foot of snow. So I tend to look for that a lot. Let's switch the vantage point. Same type of deal here. 7-day total precip, all kind of running down on this northwest flow. And again, a lot of yellows up here in Colorado, so at least a foot in a lot of those locations. Here's total snow 10/1 over the next 7 days. So very simple 10/1. In many cases with this cold air behind these fronts, we're looking at higher ratios than 10/1, but this gets you to the ballpark. Wherever you see the deep purples, at least 6. The bright pink is a foot. So at least a foot in a number of locations there. Utah, Colorado, Wyoming. I mean, there's a big bullseye right here over the top of the Tetons, the Wind Rivers, Yellowstone, central to northern Idaho, northwest Montana, and eventually into the Pacific Northwest in BC, but that's very late in the period. Switching vantage points. So this is the southwest. So some decent accumulations up there. Utah and especially into Colorado, northern New Mexico. You can see some of those deep purples and bright pinks. Here's my official snow forecast. Now, this is between 12/1 and 12/7. So grand totals by the close of business on 12/7. I've got 6 to 12 across the Wasatch. Those numbers could trend up, certainly, but that should be where we end up, at least, at a minimum. I've got 8 over Bryan Head, 2 down at Snowball, barely anything down here in California, kind of out of the storm track. We'll zoom into Colorado in a second. I'll zoom into the Wasatch in a second too, but look at this. 1 to 2 feet. Lots of 12s coming out of Montana, central to northern Idaho, and I've got 2 feet over the top of Grand Targhee and Jackson Hole. That assumes that everything verifies, that we get this really pretty northwest flow with cold temperatures. That's what it's going to take to squeeze these numbers out. But it's possible. And then late in the period, all these numbers up here begin to tick up in the Pacific Northwest, interior BC, Alberta, Revelstoke. I mean, look at that. 6 to 18 inches. That's looking really good. Alyeska at about 8. All right, let's zoom. So Colorado, again, between 12/1 and 12/7, I got a lot of 12s on the board. 12 to 13 inches, Keystone, Arapahoe Basin, Winter Park, Cameron Pass, 15 at Steamboat, 12s all the way through Summit County over Vail and Vail Pass. Looking really good. A bunch of 12s out here. Pitkin County, down into Crested Butte, and I've got 8, 9, 10 inches down here, southwestern Colorado. So an excellent condition. We'll bring in colder air. Again, this should really help a lot of ski areas that aren't open. 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 down here, northern New Mexico. All right, into Utah, into the Wasatch here. Again, this is between 12/1 and 12/7. And remember, heavy snow occurs just before this as well, on 11/30. But this is grand totals by 12/7, just during this period. About a foot up here in Little Cottonwood, 10s up in Big Cottonwood, and then across the I-80 corridor, 6 to 8, maybe a 9 or 10 inch amount. All right, let's go up to the northeast. So quite a bit of accumulation, 1, 2, 3. So it's possible we get 2 coastal storms and 1 clipper and some lake effect. So anywhere you see the deep purples, at least 6. The bright pink is a foot. And there's a lot of that transition between 6 to 12 inches here. I'm seeing it. Numerous resorts should end up between 6 and 12 inches. And a lot of lake effect areas could be even higher. But here's my forecast. So 12/1 to 12/7, like I said, 6 to 12 inches is going to do it across a number of resorts. Sunday River District, Haystack, Mount Snow, Okemo, Killington, Sugarbush, Stowe, all the way up to Jay Peak, 8 to 10 inches. 9, 10 inches Snow Ridge, we're looking good. Now, the Wachusett number could go up. I've got a couple of different coastal storms, and that's what tends to push that area up. But looking really good. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in here to this On the Snow Before You Go forecast. I appreciate it. And again, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you get notified when my latest forecasts come out. Take care and have a great day.